Scrappin with Sheri, and our last video of 2024. Now, in an effort to go ahead and get all my sketch pages finished and to finish using up some of this Christmas paper, and yes, we still are having Christmas events around my house. I don't know about you, but a lot of our events occur after Christmas just because of our kids' schedules. But I wanted to go ahead and do sketch number 4 from the December 2024 crop, the virtual crop. And like I've done on the last video, I'm going to be using up bits and pieces of paper. So I did pull out a cover sheet to use for one of them. Now, I want the Christmas tree paper, this, to be my background. And because I only have this much of it left, I'm going to be having to piece some of this. So let's do our piecing to get the background paper first. And as I'm looking, I need a strip of this along the bottom. So right here, I'm going to need a strip of the Christmas tree. And then I'm going to need a piece pretty large right here. But then the rest is going to be covered up anyway. So I felt like I could make this work. So as I'm looking at the measurements, we've got a 3-inch here, another one there, so that's 4 inches, and then 6 more, so that's 10, meaning we're going to need an inch top and bottom. So I'm just going to cut an inch off the top of this to slide to the bottom. And I hope that's making sense. It works in my math. We'll see if it works in real scrapbooking math. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. Whoop, out of tape. I've said it before, but make sure when you change your tape runner refills, you're checking to make sure there's not anything gunked up in there. And I've also had several people whose, oh, that box was the wrong thing. I've had several people whose little tape runner cases have deteriorated to the point that they've broken right there. And I'm seeing that there's a break right here. I haven't noticed that this one is not working well. So I'm going to continue to use it. This little thing breaks pretty frequently. So look for those breaks. And if you start having problems with your tape not advancing correctly or with it gunking, it's probably related to your tape case having a broken piece in it. It's just not made to last forever and ever. So eventually you have to replace those cases. It's $1 more to buy the tape runner with the case. So it's not a big deal to do that. Now, I'm already noticing one thing that's going to cause a problem for many of you. And that's the fact that my Christmas trees are not going to match up side to side. Well, I've got to keep in mind in my album, there's going to be a little separation here. I'm probably going to be okay with that. If that's a problem for you, you would probably need to figure out exactly where your Christmas trees need to start in order to work. And I'm checking to see if I could even do that easily without sacrificing all this paper, and I really couldn't. So, if you've got 2 full sheets of your background paper, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier, just let me say. Or if you use a background that doesn't have to match, it doesn't have a definite pattern, that would make it easier. I just really wanted to go ahead and use up this Christmas tree paper. You can see my cover sheets or my paper are not quite straight because I'm getting a little bit of white edge over on the side. So we have our 2 backgrounds ready, finally. And I think this is going to work out just fine. So our next thing in looking at the sketch is we need a 3-inch strip here and here. Well, I'm going to save that a minute because I want to go ahead and do these 2 bigger pieces. These bigger pieces are 9 by 6, and I'm doing those with my ornament paper, which means I've got to be really mindful of the direction. So they're going to go sideways, which means when I cut, I need to make sure it's sideways. I'm going to be cutting 9 inches off of this side and then cutting 6 through the middle. So this is a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. If I cut off 3 inches, that's going to give me 9. And then I'm going to turn this sideways to cut my 6s. Remember, remember it's 12 inches. So if I cut here, I've got a 6 and a 6. And I'm just going to lay these down for right now. I'm looking, they kind of run into the middle of each other. And I did go ahead and pull out my mats, which I don't do very often. I've got my 13-inch mats that are taped together, because this is going to go about 1 inch up from the bottom based on the Sheri map. I am going to go ahead and tape that. I think it'll be easier if I do it. So about 1 inch up from the bottom. And then this one, when I line it up correctly on my mat, it's going to go about 1 inch down from the top. I thought the ornaments with the trees would be really pretty. It's a little bit busy, but I do think once we get the photos on there matted, it's going to be okay. I felt like ornaments and trees went together well. The colors are very complementary. The only thing different is that there's the red here that you don't see in the trees, but we're going to tie that all in together in just a second. So now I need 3-inch strips here and here with a smaller strip in the middle. And this is where I'm going to pull in my red if this is large enough, because we need 2 3-inch strips. And it looks like it's plenty big. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this down and then cut it in half at 3. So that's going to give us a little bit more of the red to pull everything together. And this strip is going to line up straight across from where that 9x6 lined up earlier. If you wanted to go really bold, you could go with this pattern back here. This is not one of my favorite patterns. I've used it a little bit, very sparingly. It really looks like an ugly sweater to me. And we used to do ugly sweater parties when the kids were home. So if I'd had it then, yeah, I would have used it. But today, it just doesn't seem to work well for me. All right. So we've got our big pieces here. We've got our little stripes here. We need to add this little 11 by 1 inch. And see, we're going to end up perfect here. It's going to cover that right up. So I think to do that 11 by 1, I'm going to use the back of my ornaments just to get me some of this green plaid in there. And I just need 2 little 1-inch strips. And these are cut down to 11 by 1. So we'll have to take 1 inch off of the end. I could have done that first, but I saved that one little strip in case I want to do a border down the road. And I'm just going to slide that in right there to show me how straight I've gotten things, if that doesn't work. Yeah, that's pretty. I was just thinking, I've been with Creative Memories for almost 28 years. And man, in the beginning, one of my friends used a lot of patterns and did a beautiful job with it, but I would look at it and go, oh, that's too much for me. And now look at all these patterns on this one page. So the only thing I have left at this point is to do a border here and here. And you know how I am. I'm going back to my double rickrack for this. This is the one I used on the last video. I like it because it cuts 2 at a time. The hardest part I'm thinking right now is what color do I want to use for that double rickrack? And I'm almost leaning towards the green. I've got a good bit of red going on. I could go gold with it. That would be something really different. Let's pull out some gold shimmer and see what we got there. All right, I pulled out the gold, and I think I'm going to go with it. Now, I will tell you, this gold shimmer is a lot thinner paper, and sometimes the thinner papers are going to glitch a little bit more in your border maker system. One thing that I have learned from watching other people is that particularly with something like the rickrack, it's easier if you do alternating cuts first, because as you cut, this kind of falls down and it gets caught in your border maker system. So if you'll do your alternating cuts first, you don't run into that sliding down and getting caught in the system quite so badly. You see what I'm talking about, how it's getting hung? You need to make sure you don't have any pieces left in there as well. This is a real challenge with thinner papers particularly. Not so much with cardstocks, but with the thinners for sure. But if you'll alternate your cuts, it seems to make it a little easier. If I had just done that straight down, I would have jagged that all to pieces and probably torn the border in the process. And we just need to pull out our mat and our repositionable tape. And this page is almost finished, except for the pictures. Just in the effort of full disclosure, you see me do a lot of Christmas pages, and that's because I do an entire Christmas album every year. Now, not everything we do in December goes in the Christmas album because we do have several birthdays. So I don't put every single thing in the Christmas album, but if it is Christmas related, even if it happens in November, it goes into the Christmas album. And I love being able to go back and look at what we do each year just to see what new events we've added, what we did last year. You know, it's kind of my history book. If the kids say, oh, I don't remember what we did at something, 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 I can usually go back and look and say, oh, yeah, that's what we did. Here's how it happened. There's a little glitch on that border right there. Not bad, though. Oh, look how pretty that gold is. And you know what? As I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, man, one more gold here would be really pretty and really set that off. It's not on the sketch, but I do think it'll be really pretty. So let's go back and add one more. I was being very mindful of remembering that I needed to alternate these, because as soon as I tell you to do something, I seem to forget it. And you see how these are catching. I'm having to be really careful not to tear them all to pieces. And I still may end up tearing them all to pieces. Let's see what we can do here. Yep, there's one little piece that's catching right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got a little piece of gold catching right there on the edges. I think we've managed to salvage everything, though. So I think part of it is just being aware that that happens with the more intricate borders. This one I wouldn't say is intricate, but it's that thin gold paper. And the thinner cardstocks just seem to have a little more issue with that. So just be aware of it. If you're aware and you make sure to clean out your border maker cartridge as you go. If you alternate the punches, those things help tremendously. And I've heard multiple advisors mention that. I just don't always remember it. So I'm glad I remembered it today to share it with you. Maybe that's the first time you've heard it, and, you know, it won't be the last. You'll probably hear it about 20 other times before you actually remember to do it, like me. So, you know, I've been developing my own pictures. And in looking at this sketch, this is going to be a really fun one, I think, to put together, because they have shown pictures all along these little spots right here, 2x2 photos, which means when I develop, if I have lots of extra pictures that I'm not really sure what to do with, that would be a great place to just put several 2x2s. And look, you could get 10 little photos on there and two largers on each page to kind of emphasize what you've got going on. But for now, this virtual crop sketch number 4 from December is complete. I love the look of it. I love that extra gold. Now, matting, I can probably just mat in my white as usual. But if I really wanted them to stand out a little more, I could do gold matting. A lot of that's going to depend on the pictures, because I think the gold makes it look a little more formal, whereas my pictures are generally not real formal. But that is the sketch number 4. Now, I did want to show you, because I heard some people asking about this at a retreat I was at. My mats are taped together. I just used duct tape, and I laid my mats upside down just like this. I put the piece of duct tape all along, cut it off, and then my mats will fold backwards for storing. And this has been on there probably over a year. I know people use lots of different kinds of tape. For me, the duct tape worked well. I carry these around everywhere I go to crop. So I've been pleased with that. But if you are looking for a way to try to get your layouts more evenly spaced, to get things more neat, that's a good way to do it. Those 13-inch mats, 2 of them taped together, make a great work surface, especially if you travel very much and want to do your layouts. So this is the end of the sketch challenges for December of 2024. We finished our 101 sketchbook pages. We have done a lot this year, and I hope you've been along with me on a lot of it. I know a lot of you have commented, you've posted. Some of you have emailed me, and I love that. I love having some contact with you just to know what's going on in your world. So please keep up with me. Next time you see me, it will be a new year. It'll be January 2025. We'll be starting our 52 scrapbooking project recipes book. So if you still need one of those, get in contact with me ASAP. It'll take a while to get it to you in the mail, but let me know if you're in need of one of those. And until I see you next time, Happy New Year, happy scrapping, happy 2024. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.